Good morning, everyone. Good morning. You found room 411. Very good, and thank you very much for meeting us here on this early Tuesday morning. We're going to start our session on time, so I can let you out a few minutes early so that you have time to get to the general session. My name is Trevor Summers. I work for the U.S. Department of Education, and I'm going to spend a few minutes with you this morning sharing this first session. Welcome to your first FSA Training Conference. I do want to share a very special welcome. I know that in this room, even though this is your first Federal Student Aid Training Conference, that's not to say we have a lot of financial aid rookies in this room. Some of you have been in the federal student aid industry 10 or 20 years or more, but this is your first FSA conference. So I wanted to personally give you a special welcome. I work for the department in a regional office in Dallas, Texas, home of the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm very happy to be here with you in Atlanta. And I want to start our session so we can start on time. And I want to share with you some things that I think will help you make the most out of this, your first Federal Student Aid Training Conference. Here's what you'll find at this conference this week. We have many different session breakout topics. The breakout sessions are the individual rooms that you would go to throughout the day, rooms like this. Many rooms will be bigger than this, some may be a little smaller than this. You can see them all in your spiral-bound program book that was given to you when you registered. There are different breakout time slots every day. Think of it like class periods when you were a college student, different ones throughout the day. You need to choose from the agenda to choose to go to the ones that interest you. There are 4 of those breakout time slots today, this afternoon I should say. There are only 4 today because we have 2 big general sessions that will occupy the morning hours. But tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, there are many more breakout sessions, anywhere from 5 to 9 throughout the day. There are 3 big general sessions. The first one that's going to start here shortly, and those are ones you don't need to miss. There are 2 of those today, one on Wednesday. There's no large general session on Friday. There are also 9 birds of a feather sessions that we'll talk about in just a second. That's where you can network with people who work in similar offices or similar colleges or universities or schools that you work at. So you can determine what's working for them, what's not working for them, what challenges they're facing that maybe you can help with. This is a large conference. You can see we're expecting over 5,500 participants, and we're happy to have each one of you here. So who attends the conference? You can imagine people just like you, typically financial aid administrators that work at colleges or universities, schools, proprietary schools, public schools. It runs the entire range of all the schools that participate in the federal student aid programs. But also we have admissions officers here. We love to see schools that bring with them, in addition to the financial aid team, the admissions staff, the people that are back in the campus working with that prospective students to determine, are we going to admit the student, what category are we going to admit the student in, what is the degree or the program of study they're seeking. So we're happy to have you here, very happy if you're an admissions officer. Also Bursar's office. Bursar's officers, we love it when we see those people here because those are the team, those are the staff back at your campus that are actually ordering the money, getting the money from the G5 system down to your school's bank account so you can turn around and disperse it to your students. But that's also the team of people that's returning the money. Sometimes you order the money, sometimes you have to return money. So if you're here from the Bursar's office, fantastic. We have sessions that I think will be directly applicable to you. Also, foreign school financial aid administrators or foreign school administrators. Now, they're not in this room with us yet, but you will see throughout this campus there will be financial aid administrators from schools all over the globe because we could have eligible citizens from the United States or eligible non-citizens that may attend colleges or universities outside of the U.S., and they may receive federal student aid funds in the form of direct loans. And we have sessions specifically for foreign school administrators, and you will see them here. You'll see their name tag. They won't be from Georgia, they won't be from Florida or Alabama, they'll be from nations across the world. So if you see those, hopefully you can meet them and ask them about any challenges they're facing compared to any challenges you're facing. We also have loan servicer representatives here. Some of the loan servicers staff are here to answer questions in the resource room And you may see those people here, so that if you see a loan servicer that you've been working with, or some of your students have been working with, they're there to answer your questions about what's happening, what's working, what's not. Also, senior Department of Education policy people will be here. You will see many of these people because they will be on the stage presenting throughout the week, but they will also be here to answer your questions. So if you're out in the hallway or out in the corridor or you see these people, you're welcome to stop and ask them. Everyone in the Department of Education works for you. So while we're here this week, we'll be glad to help you in any way we can. But I'd like to point out, you'll see senior Department of Education officials here. That's important because what you see is this. Most of the new regulations, the proposed regulations, the high-level policy guidance gets authored by the senior Department of Education officials. So since they're here and you're here, it's a good opportunity for you to engage them and talk to them and listen to what they have to say. We also have auditors or accountants here. Those are people who typically don't work at a school, they don't work at a college or university, but you engage them to audit your financial statements or to review your compliance with the federal student aid laws and regulations. You know, sometimes you use the same auditors or accountants for years. Sometimes you engage different ones periodically, but they will be here because they're interested in learning the latest information, the latest regulations, the latest changes in the law, so they're here also. Also, as I shared earlier, we'll have financial aid rookies here and financial aid veterans. We're very happy to have you here. If you're a financial aid rookie, I know this is a big conference, don't be overwhelmed. If you're a financial aid veteran, we're happy to have you here. I do want to share one reassuring thought from a dear friend of mine who just celebrated her 40th year in the federal student aid industry. She said, Trevor, when it comes to federal student aid, the first 40 years are the hardest. So I thought that's something good that a financial aid rookie could grab onto as they begin their journey. Am I right? Here's some other things you could expect at the Federal Student Aid Training Conference this week. You probably already found the registration desk. That's in this facility, the Georgia World Conference Center, in the registration hall AB. That's the little hall that's kind of in between these big buildings A and buildings B. I found it just this morning, just outside to the right. There's also a big message board in the registration area. Sometimes attendees post messages or post questions on that registration board. I've even seen job announcements posted there, messages to a colleague. You're welcome to use that. The food and the beverages, those are for sale in this building, the Georgia World Conference Center, in this building A. That's on level 1. That's down on the very bottom floor. I believe we're on level 4 here. So the beverages and food are for sale on the first floor of this building, but there are coffee carts throughout this facility, and you can grab some food from food kiosks. Now, lunch is on your own. What I mean by that is this. There's no pre-designated or no scheduled lunch time period for the whole group. In years past, we had one specific lunch period at noon, and what that meant was about 5,000 or 6,000 people converged on all the restaurants and the food kiosks, and that didn't work very well. So if you look at the schedule this week, you can see there's no one scheduled lunch break. You take lunch whenever is best for you. We have people here from all over the nation, so you need to look at the calendar and look at the breakout sessions and kind of choose the best ones that you can go to for you. This way, those of you from the Eastern time zone can enjoy your lunch, while those of you from the Western time zone can enjoy your breakfast at the same time. And I think that's important. And don't panic. When you look at the conference guide and when you look at your trifold agenda, you'll see that almost all of the breakout sessions are offered multiple times. That means this. If there's one scheduled today, let's say at 2 o'clock, and you can't make it because there's another one scheduled, that's fine. See if it's offered tomorrow. See if it's offered on Thursday. See if it's offered on Friday. Here's some other things that I think you can expect here. When we leave this room, we'll go into a large conference room for the first general session. The general session is a large session that's in a room much larger than this. We even have an overflow room right down the hall in case you can't find a seat. But I hope every one of you can get in the exhibit hall for the first general session. But when you go in there, listen for the audio recording or listen for announcements that will be shared over the PA system before the session actually starts, because sometimes we share last-minute room changes, last-minute schedule changes. Also, look in your seat, not right now, but when you move in the general session, usually we put a daily newsletter in your seat, and so there's an important piece of paper that you can grab and read while you're waiting, or if there are any other changes, we may put a piece of paper in your seat. So watch that for those announcements or updates in the general sessions. The breakout sessions that are scheduled throughout the week, they have staggered start and end times to better accommodate the traffic flow. You can look at your trifold agenda. I'm not going to read through this in detail. You probably already have, but it's best for me to focus on every other line of this agenda. Every other line means that you'll have adequate time to make the sessions and to have a reasonable break in between them. I say every other line. You can't attend a session for every line because the schedule overlaps, the time schedules overlaps. That's why we say here, focus on every other line of this trifold agenda for planning. The sessions are going to be either in this facility we're in now, this is building A, or they could be in the other building, building B. You can get to that building B just by going out here, taking a left, and then following the crowd. There's also a map in your spiral-bound conference book. I'm not going to read this in detail. You have this. I want you to study this and find that map. And I do want to say that in this particular book, there's one thing I want to mention before we move on. We have a schedule builder in this book, pages 18 and 19. This is a schedule builder that you can read the instructions on and actually look at the trifold agenda and look at the sessions that overlap and write in what your first choice, your second choice, your third choice is. And this may help you as a new attendee determine which sessions you need to go to and on what day they fall so you can make sure you attend every session that interests you. Now, as you go through this week, if you need help, there's a couple of things I want to mention there. You should find someone who works for the U.S. Department of Education. That's the team of people here putting on this conference for you, the federal student aid administrators. And many of the very special FSA staff that are putting on this conference are what I call the red shirts. Those are Department of Education or logistical staff that will be wearing a red shirt or a red sweater with a U.S. Department of Education seal embroidered on that shirt or on that sweater. And usually you'll see the red shirt staffs in all the corridors and all the hallways. And if you have a question about which way a particular room is, where is the food, where's a store where I can grab a bottle of water, where do I eat lunch, or if you're lost, find any red shirt. So you'll see the red shirts with the Department of Education seal and ask them. They're logistical staffs that can answer almost any question about which way to go, which direction to go, or what you should do if you're not sure where you're at. Find the red shirt and they will help you. Or you can find any Department of Education staff. Typically we have little blue badges on our name tags that say U.S. Department of Education. You can send questions to this web address, fsaconferences@ed.gov. You can even follow the conference via Twitter. If you're on Twitter, that's the Twitter handle and the hashtag you can see there. And if you have other questions that no one can answer, you can drop off your handwritten questions at the box at registration. Now, more specifically about what's going to happen today and throughout the rest of the week, there's really four things I want to emphasize, four things I want you to remember. The first one is this. I want to really encourage you. You should go to these general sessions. There are two today, and there are one tomorrow. These are large sessions in a much, much larger room than this. This room has one screen for the PowerPoint presentation. The room for the general sessions will have several. So you do not need to miss General Session 1. That's the actual welcome for all of the attendees for the Federal Student Aid Training Conference. And all 5,500 of you will be in that room. If you can't find a room, there's an overflow room on this floor in the Stanley Marcus Auditorium, which is just down to my left. But I hope you're in there in the main exhibit hall for General Session 1 that starts today at 8:30, goes to 10:15. General Session 2 is also today. General Session 2 is going to discuss the verification options and conflicting information on how to identify it and how to resolve it for the upcoming 17-18 award year. That's also today. You can see 10:45 to noon. Don't miss those. Those are two of the most important things here. Tomorrow, again, another big general session in the morning. We're going to discuss the FAFSA, the CPS, and the FSA ID updates. So when you go to these sessions, I want to point out a couple of things. They're in a much larger room, lots of different screens, In this room, there's one microphone right here in the middle of the aisle. When you go to these other sessions, like the general session or some of the other open forum sessions, there will be several microphones, not just one that I'm looking at right here in between these two sections, but there'll be microphones throughout the room. Certain sessions you'll go to, you'll have an opportunity to go to the microphone and ask a question to the presenter. I don't think that's going to be appropriate in the general sessions because those sessions are so large, and those are typically sessions where we just sit and get the information from the presenter, but other sessions will be different. But I want to point out, these general sessions are so important. You'll see information on the screen that you'll want to capture. These sessions will be recorded and posted to the FSA Conference's website when this conference is over. So you can go to that site and download a copy of every presentation. So it's not necessary for you to use your tablet or your iPhone to turn on the camera app to take pictures of every screen. I see people do that every year, and I want to tell them you don't have to do that. You can do that, but you don't have to take a picture of every screen because, again, when the conference is over, go to the FSA Conference's website, which is on my favorite website, IFAP, and you can download every single PowerPoint presentation. These general sessions are videotaped and audio taped. So when you get back to the campus, if you had staff there that couldn't make this year's FSA conference, you can wait till the recordings are posted, and you can have staff back at your school watch these recorded sessions, pause them, rewind them, fast forward them, watch them again. Those general sessions are audio taped and videotaped. The breakout sessions are a little different, and that's what we're going to talk about now. These are recorded also. They're also posted on IFAP, so you don't have to hold up your tablet or your phone and take pictures of the screens. Those aren't really videotaped, those are audio taped, but they're still posted to the IFAP website, so you can go back and watch them again once you get back. I just made a quick, informal grouping of what category these breakout sessions fall in. I'm going to buzz through these real fast. I will not read each one because the details are in the spiral-bound conference program book that you should have in your hand. But I just grouped these in a couple of different respects. Whenever I think of eligibility, I'm always interested if we're talking about institutional eligibility, that's for your school, or are we discussing student eligibility or academic program eligibility? Those are three different things that you should know because those three things need to be in place before you disperse any money to any federal student aid student. But when it comes to institutional eligibility, I thought about these sessions that might be of interest to you, everything from cash management to gainful employment. A couple of these that I want to mention. I'm not going to read these in detail, but there's one that I think is very important, number 33. It says Program Review Essentials and the top 10 compliance findings. Do you see that? I love to see financial aid administrators go to that to get the latest, most common top 10 compliance findings and program reviews and audits. Now, I know those things would never happen at your campus. But if those are the top 10 most common findings nationwide, what are the chances they might be there at your campus and nobody knows it yet? How many of you know if there's an issue, you should find it now before an auditor finds it? So I encourage everyone to go to those and listen to what those latest top 10 findings are to go back to your campus to say, hey, what are the chances these could be happening at my own shop? We just don't know it yet. If these are the most common nationwide, what are the chances they may be happening at yours? There's another one that catches my eye. The last one, you see it says Session 49, Complying with the Clery Act. That is one of the best sessions that I've ever been to. And as you see that session, I encourage you to go to that one. That's offered a few times. I think it's twice tomorrow and once on Thursday. Forgive me if I'm not 100% right. Look in your program guide. That's one you should not miss. If you go to that one, it will be one of the best ones that you'll attend all week. Couple of other ones that I want to mention regarding student eligibility. You can read this, everything from breakout sessions on how modules can affect federal student aid, satisfactory academic progress, citizenship issues, we could keep going. Another big emphasis regarding student information and transparency is consumer information. You might want to consider these topics or these breakout sessions, everything from the gainful employment disclosures to our new emphasis and our new request on financial literacy. That's when you work with your students and you do more to make them understand the rights and responsibilities about being a student loan borrower. We do our best to convey financial literacy to your borrowers, but we need you to also do the same thing so they can receive it from every angle. Processing information, everything from campus-based program updates to administering add drops and withdrawals, academic calendars, Title IV reconciliation, even a session from the IRS. That will be a good one to go to and ask questions. Lots of other processing information. Return to Title IV funds for credit hours and for clock hour environments. So if that falls in your bailiwick at your campus, we encourage you to go to those sessions. There's another one that I think that was interesting, number 51, it's titled Listening and Learning About Early FAFSA and Prior Year. That's a session in which there is no formal PowerPoint presentation developed, there's no formal presentation given. That's for us to listen to you. That's for us in the department to listen to you about what's working and not working about the early FAFSA model and the prior year income model. That's going to be in a larger room like this with microphones dispersed throughout the aisles and the rows. You have to be brave enough to stand up and go to the microphone and say, hi, this is my name, this is my school, and this is what we're seeing that's working or not working or needs adjustment. So you'll see anytime there's a microphone, you have to be brave enough to stand up and say who you are, but share that info. That's a listening session where we want to learn from you about what's working and what needs to be adjusted. Different breakout sessions for loans and loan servicing. I won't read these in detail. I think a good one to go to is the servicing update to get details on how the servicing is going. Again, also a presentation, a platform for you to go to a microphone and share what's working and what's not. You can read these, lots of sessions on loans about the public service loan forgiveness, the income-driven repayment plans, and also this new option. You see number 16, the borrower defense to repayment final. That means the final regulations that define when a student borrower stands up and says, I should not have to repay this loan. I'm establishing a legal defense on why I should not have to repay it. Those final regulations tell exactly what the student has to do. It also shows exactly what the school has to do, and the final regulations explain the requirements or the responsibilities or the punitive actions that the school would be subject to in case this one happened. So that borrower defense to repayment final regulations, I think, is a very important session, and that's one I'm going to go to listen if I can steal away from my other duties here. So I encourage you to pay particular close attention to that one. The websites that you will use on a daily basis to report student data or report disbursement suis caught in NSLDS, you see we have sessions that are going to be presented by people that work for the NSLDS or work with the COD system. So they know a lot about how these systems work. I encourage you to look at these to see if these will help you. You can go and ask questions. Other important topics that really didn't fall into any one category, but I wanted to emphasize these just the same. There's one on the Teach Grant program. If you participate in the Teach Grant program, you should go to that one. But the second one here, number 31, that says open forum. There's an open forum on different days throughout the conference. I believe there's one today and maybe one on Thursday and Friday. Your spiral-bound program book will tell you for sure. That's in a larger room like this with senior Department of Education staff on stage. There are microphones there, and you can ask the Department of Education senior staff any question. There's no formal agenda. There's just introductions, and then they open the microphones. Those are good to go to because you will hear questions from other financial aid administrators, questions that you want to ask. And those are good to go to. Even if you don't want to step in front of the microphone and ask a question to tell everyone who you are, you should still go to those open forum sessions to listen. So I really want to encourage you, look at your program guide, see that session, number 31, open forum, go to at least one of those and take notes. It will help you. You can read the rest of these. These are important sessions. I'm not going to read them in detail. This is one that needs a little mention. These are hands-on sessions. These are for your staff back at your campus that actually work with the NSLDS, reporting data or getting data from the NSLDS or the COD system. These are hands-on sessions. The catch is these are limited. We can't accommodate a very large group. They are hands-on sessions, meaning we have computers that are set up for you to work through exercises. 60 computers, so there's room for 120 attendees. That means 2 people per computer to work through these exercises. There are extra chairs to sit in, and these are offered once every day of the conference. So if you are interested in these sessions, look at your program book to see what room they're in. Show up a little early because there's usually a line of people that want to get in to get a spot at a computer. There are several sessions for the foreign schools that are joining us here. They're not in this room, they're in another room, but they will join us in for the general sessions. I'm not going to read these in detail because I don't think any of you work at foreign schools, but we have lots of breakout sessions for them regarding student eligibility, awarding, cost of attendance, professional judgment, cash management, etc. So the general session is one thing I want you to go to. The breakout sessions, that's the second thing I want you to take advantage of. This is the third, the birds of the feather networking sessions. These are sessions in which you can review to see which category you fall in, and you can attend these. Again, this is another session where there's no formal presentation given. This is for you to talk to your neighbor. This is for you to talk to people who do almost the exact same thing you do, just at a similar school. For example, there's a Birds of a Feather session offered for bursars and business officers. You should go to that if you work in that office to see how they're doing, maybe preparing those 1098-Ts at the end of the year to issue to your students. Any questions about billing or funds management, what's working, what's not working. There's another Bird of a Feather session for ESI, that stands for Experimental Sites Initiative. Those are for schools that are involved in the dual enrollment and the Second Chance Pell. You can go to that if you're interested in that. Another Bird of Feather session for Experimental Sites Initiative regarding the competency-based education or prior learning direct assessment. Other ones regarding minority-serving institutions for HBCUs, that's historically black colleges and universities, and PBIs, that stands for predominantly black institutions. If you work in that category, go to that session. We encourage you to. There's another Bird of Feathers session for the tribal colleges and the Alaska Natives and Native Hawaiian serving institutions. We could keep going. Other minority serving institutions, HSIs, that's Hispanic serving institutions, or Asian American and Native American institutions. But we're not done. Community colleges, grad schools, for-profit schools. You can go to those and find information. You know, sometimes the information you hear from the lectern, that should always be valuable and helpful, but often by networking with your colleagues, you can get information that's sometimes more valuable and helpful because they may be fighting battles that you're facing. They may have had successes that you're looking for. You go to these Birds of a Feather sessions to meet people that do the same thing you do, and I believe it will help you understand what's going on and to help you go back to your campus and say, let's try this. The fourth thing I want to say, and this is really the last thing for this morning before we wrap it up because I want to let you go a little early. You need to please attend the Resource Center. The Resource Center is in this building, Building A on level 1 in the exhibit hall. There are 11 specific booths with subject matter experts that can help in many ways. For example, there's an Ask a Fed table where you can ask a Department of Education official almost any policy question about how to administer the federal student aid programs. There's an Ask a Fed desk for foreign schools. There's a desk for the e-campus-based programs and the e-campus-based website. There's also a desk for the e-app. That's the electronic application for approval to participate in the aid programs. That may be important because some of you have submitted an electronic application recently to let us know about a change in your campus or a change in your officials or a change in your location. If you have a question about the e-app process, go to that booth. There are experts there that can answer questions. There are people there that work at the COD system. There's a COD booth. There's a booth for the NSLDS. Years ago, I saw a financial aid administrator go to that booth, and she actually had a student's ICER in her hand that had the student's NSLDS history printed on it. She was having a problem resolving some loan aggregate balance or some loan default issue. Brought it to that booth, to the NSLDS booth. They were able to look at it with the staff from the NSLDS. They did not fix it, but they identified the problem. They said, this is exactly what you need to do to fix it, and that helped that financial aid administrator greatly. When she got back to the office, she fixed the problem. Also a booth with federal loan servicers. Those are people who work for the servicers. They're going to be there for you to ask them questions. There's a booth there for the SAIG, Student Aid Internet Gateway Enrollment, Ed Express, Participant Management, FAA Access to CPS Online. If you have questions about those, we encourage you to go there. I could go on. Cybersecurity, the last couple booths I want to mention here. There's one booth for the Experimental Sites Initiative. If you have questions about that, or if you participate in any of those experiments, there are staff there that can answer questions. Also a booth for the FAFSA demo and the FAFSA ID. So just a couple things before I let you go, friends. So just some logistical tips. Get familiar with this facility, the Georgia World Conference Center. There's a map in your program book, pages 13 through 16. Plan smart for your general session. When you go to the general session, kind of choose your seat wisely in case you need to leave that session quickly to make another session that's going to start in the next 15 or 20 minutes. Look at the map to check the location of your next session so you can know how to get there. Use that break in between each session either to refresh yourself or to grab a bite, or if you need to take a longer lunch, that's fine. Have backup session choices in case you go to a room like this and it's full. Some of the sessions will be full, and on the door that will say no more people, we're full. Have a backup slot. Wear comfortable shoes. You'll walk a lot. Now, some of you came here to this conference for the first time and you bought fancy new clothes. That's fine and dandy. But if I see you dressed to the nines and you're wearing tennis shoes, that's okay. I give you formal permission. Some of you only brought one pair of tennis shoes, and that's that real expensive high-dollar pair, you know, neon and fuchsia and pink, those tennis shoes that you paid way too much money for, that you run in. If you wear those with your three-piece suit or your fancy outfit, that's okay. You won't offend anybody. I encourage you to wear tennis shoes because you'll walk a lot. Just go outside, get a little fresh air. Don't forget to do this, gang. Relax, be friendly. The only way to make a friend is to be a friend. So if you see someone next to you that's a financial aid administrator, don't forget to relax and be friendly. Visit the Resource Center. We want to see you in there. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be intimidated to go to the microphone and let us know who you are. So that way you can either start or continue the journey to become a Title IV expert. Last thing, on Thursday or Friday, you can go to the registration desk or your hotel lobby, print your boarding pass to catch your flight home the next day. That's what I wanted to share with you. I'm going to let you go a few minutes early to make sure you can get to the General Session 1, which is down on the first floor. I'll be glad to take any questions, gang. You can come to this microphone and speak loudly, or you can come to me at the stage, and I'll be glad to talk to you for just a moment. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the conference, and I'll see you soon.